How would you like to open your brokerage statement, your bank account statement, and see that you made 10 times your money? How about 20 times your money? You'd be happy, right? Heck, you'd probably be happy with 5 times your money. Are the gold mining stocks right now, in particular the junior sector, offering you that opportunity? Look, sentiment, the feeling toward this sector has never been worse. In this video, we're going to talk about 2 key factors that could easily propel the junior mining stocks to 2, 3, 4, 5 times, maybe 10, and for some companies, maybe even 20 times return. We're also going to hear from 2 of the sharpest minds in the industry and hear what they have to say about the prospects and the current condition in the junior gold and silver mining sector. The only thing better than a stock going up 10 times in value is when you join me here in the basement. You are the most important part of Ron's basement. It's called YouTube. Yes, you, not RonTube. So thank you for joining me today. Please give this video a thumbs up, and I'm going to ask you if you could subscribe to my channel. That really helps. We get the news out to more people. Now I'm going to give you 2 seconds to subscribe, and then I'm going to ring the bell. Are you getting tired of looking at your brokerage account and seeing nothing but a sea of red if you're invested in the junior mining sector? You need to remember one thing. Sometimes it rains for days on end, but it always stops raining. And the sentiment will improve in the junior mining sector, and many of these companies are positioned for astounding returns. But let's just start out by talking about the current value proposition offered by almost any company in the sector. Hey, look, I like to have a real casual appearance with you, but the reality is I have a degree in accounting from a top-flight university. I understand financial statements, balance sheets, income statements, and the all-important cash flow statement. So I can determine and recognize outstanding value when I read those figures. And when you look at, just for instance, the balance sheets of almost any junior mining company right now, you learn something astounding. Many of the companies, right, their market cap, that's the total amount of dollar value of stock in the company, is often lower than the net tangible assets of the company. Now, to simplify that for you, that basically means on real simple levels, let's say a company has $200 worth of assets and they happen to have $50 worth of liabilities. That means their net tangible assets, their assets after you pay off their debt, would be about $150. And what we're seeing in the junior mining sector now is that the market cap for that company might be something like $100. Meaning, if the stock traded for $1 a share and there were only 100 shares outstanding, for every dollar you put into that company, for every share you bought, you would be getting $1.50 in assets, and that's at book value. Okay, that means what the company paid, right? We know how high inflation has been over the last 2 years. Ask any mining company executive, if you had to replace your assets right now on your balance sheet, could you do it at the current book value at which you're carrying them? And most likely the answer you get will be an astounding no. So from just a pure asset balance perspective, the mining stocks are offering an incredible value opportunity. One more interesting thing to point out about that is a lot of these companies that fall into the category like I just described, there's a company called Fortuna Silver that I follow very closely. They definitely fall into that category. On top of everything, they're also generating positive cash flow. They're generating cash, making cash every quarter, and net income. So if you're invested in the junior mining stocks, you're probably used to a lot of this red in your portfolio. But when we look at the attitude, the sentiment toward the sector right now, there's some astounding statistics that we need to recognize. The runway ahead of us, the ability to improve, is so great that we should all actually be quite excited. There's an interview recently published, Peter Grandich and Michael Gentili, two of the sharpest minds in the precious metals sector. Michael Gentili brought up something that is just astounding. He brought up the fact that, first, the price of gold on a historic basis is very cheap right now. We know that, right? But when you compare the miners, the big mining companies, to the price of gold, they are also on a historic basis, yes, very cheap. And then when you compare the mid-tier miners, the ones that maybe have 3 or 4 mines, to the major miners, they're cheap on a relative historic basis as well. And then when you compare the single asset producers to the ones that have 3 or 4 mines, that spread is also at historic levels. And then when you compare that to the developers, that spread's historic. Are you seeing a trend here? And when you compare the developers to the explorers, the most junior, most risky sector in the precious metals area, that spread is also historic. That's why some of the smallest companies, the developers, the explorers, their stock prices have lost 70, 60, 80% in value. But right now, what you get for each dollar you put into them is truly incredible. You have companies like First Mining Gold. Yes, I own the stock. Yes, I'm talking my own book, but nonetheless, they have 2 5 million ounce development projects in Canada and a handful of other projects in Canada, a safe jurisdiction. When you buy their stock, you're buying gold in the ground, defined. It's already been drilled. Millions and millions and tens of millions of dollars previously spent over the last decades defining that the gold's in the ground, and you're buying it for $5, $10 per ounce. The opportunities are abundant. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not giving you financial advice. But to me, the attitudes alone toward the precious metals mining sector right now couldn't get much worse. They're like an NFL team that has a 0-16 record. And remember, guys, sometimes it rains for days and days on end, but doesn't it always stop raining? Historically, the sentiment toward the precious metal sector, toward the junior mining stocks in particular, it can change quickly. And when it does, there are astounding returns to be had in the sector. The stocks are risky, no doubt about it. Honestly, a year ago right now, I would have been saying basically the same thing. And if you'd put money into those stocks, you'd be experiencing this right now. Lots of red in your brokerage account. I'm just sharing my opinion. I wish you the best of luck, and I'll see you next time in the basement. Go watch a live stream.